All right. This is going to be quick, and I figure it's easier just to go live than make a video, save a video, upload a video. So I'll just go live with this. The topic, something I've been thinking about for quite a while, is daytime TV. Or more appropriately, what if everything that is on the news, I don't care what broadcaster or what news source, everything that's on the news, what if everything on the news is just there to keep us entertained? And what I mean by keep us entertained is keep us entertained by just making us angry all the time, right? And then because it also has the way of dividing us by I believe this or I don't believe that. I see we see that on social media. I'm sure I'm not the only one who sees that. Random people will just attack you for something with something that is wholeheartedly untrue, and then they'll try to goad you into an argument, right? TV does the same thing. TV just kind of spins on that, and it's even like this whole President Biden presidency. I don't I don't see the presidency right now as even being a presidency as much as being a purposeful target for people to either use for their shield and sword or something to hate and attack. It seems to be that it's one or the other. And this kind of started with Trump too, to where there was a lot of Trump supporters that would support the guy through hell and high water. Some people like me were kind of won over by the guy because he was actually doing what he said he was doing. And then there was just so many people that just hated him because they were told to hate him, by the news. And that's what I think is like the news nowadays is just propaganda. I don't think there's anything real on the news. It's just an extension of like some social media like TikTok or dating sites like what is it, Tinder or whatnot. Just people getting attention, and then the news helps people get attention. It helps keep and keep the flames of fanned, more or less. I think all of it's bullshit. I mean, I think that the things that we should be paying attention to are 100% glossed over, and I think anybody can see this. It's just why nobody wants to focus on. I mean, it's not nobody, but statistically, nobody wants to focus on the things that we should be focused on, right? And what should we focus on? I don't know. I don't know that answer either. I think you know we have different areas that we should focus in. First and foremost, our inner circle, right? The closest circle, the kernel ring, layer zero, whatever you want to call it. Focus on us now. Make sure that us and those closest to us have what we need, right? And with going through tumultuous times right now, or leading up to that, I think it's going to get much worse for a very long time. What are we doing to safeguard our future, right? Like for me personally, I'm getting chickens, getting beehives, getting the garden's been hard this year because it was freezing all the way up until then. We had two weeks of rain, and then it also turned 100 degrees. That's been my weather pattern. So hardly anything's in the ground right now, and it's mid-June when I should have had things in the ground 2 months ago, but I couldn't because it was still freezing, randomly at night. And the stuff I did get planted, just most of it died, other than potatoes. Potatoes did great, so far. Anyways, I got chickens, I got the garden, I'm getting beehives, which the beehives won't even be producing anything that for me to consume or my son to consume for at least a year, but it's planning for the future. That's layer zero. Layer one is like what's a little bit farther on the horizon. That's your neighbors, that's people people you work with, right? Are you building that community? Are you part of a community and so forth, so forth? And then and you can break out these layers, and then all the way up to like I don't know, maybe say just generically layer five is like what's happening in the world, right? And that's where we should be paying attention to what's actually happening, or what's how many interpretations of what's happening in the world can you get, you know? like say like recent events. People are so tunnel visioned on what they can get now and what's happening right now. They don't care about the history. And they don't care about the future. And then, unfortunately, that's not an American thing. That's a worldwide thing. You know, and I think it's going to come to bite a lot of people in the behind here relatively soon. But what I mean by that is that we've become very commercialized, consumer driven, and then this whole JIT, just in time delivery for our logistics. Well, the JIT is breaking down too. So now we're like, well, now what do we do? Even here where I'm at, just the past year, we've had like boil advisories like 3 times this year. Boil advisories 3 times. I don't think I've seen a boil advisory 3 times in the past 10 or 15 years besides this year. And then this year it's happening relatively, often. So there's a lot of things that are just kind of going sideways on us, just little bits here and there. What are you doing to protect yourself? And that layer 5, layer 0 being you, yourself, and maybe your kids and a significant other. And then layer 5 is your far horizons. Where are you seeing other things coming towards you? That where's that hurricane that you can prepare for now coming from, right? And what should you be doing, so to speak? There's a lot, like when this is a little rambling, I suppose. Going back in from when I was talking about the Biden administration, I don't think the Biden administration is an administration. I think it's a cover for something else happening because there's just so much nonsense in this narcissist way of attacking continuously 50 things at a time, 50 things at a time, 50 things at a time. And 49 out of 50 of them just don't make sense, but then people feel obligated to defend themselves against the nonsense. And like, you don't have to defend against a narcissist, just walk around them. But people don't know that. I dealt with narcissists, but you can see the influence of the vampires here live, prime time, every day on every news channel that there is out there, right? That's exactly what this is. Then, and what's is that people are sucking all the resources and the money out of this country, out of our pocketbooks, and purposefully. Do you think that $40 billion getting sent to Ukraine was for 8 years? This is just being done prime time on TV, and nobody cares. Nobody. All I can say, I guess the short story is that everything that we're seeing in the media, social media, and everything right now, they're just distractions. They're meant to keep you busy, to get your heart elevated so you feel like you're actually doing something. You're just getting mad at things. You're getting mad at people that you've never met because they believe something that you don't even know what you truly believe. You're just doing what you're told, and then they're doing what they're told by believing what they're believing, and you're not giving it critical thought. I don't blame the younger generation because they stopped teaching critical thought, critical learning, and thinking and debate and stuff like that a long time ago in public education. Probably 20 plus years ago. About the same time they stopped teaching how to work with your hands or how to do anything useful. And then when they started adding more and more classes, you go from like 5 or 6 classes a day up to like 9 or 10 a day. So you're barely sitting in the class anymore. You're just standing up, sitting down, stand up, sitting down, getting, things chattered at you. So the younger generation and your inattentive parents, are kind of to blame for this. The schools, the environment, because you've never been taught this, and chances are your parents never taught. I'd say parents that are like millennials are probably some of the laziest parents I've ever met because they're the first ones on board with the social media and all that, and it's me, and then you're raising kids. You're not raising kids. You probably put more effort into a puppy, because at least you're like, well, the puppy's got to go outside and poop, and you probably just let your kid poop wherever. You're like, oh, as soon as I get you potty trained, I can ignore you for 18 years. But and that's what unfortunately happens. But a lot a lot of this is to keep you distracted because they know that you don't know how to critically think. They know that you don't know logic and reason. They know that you've been raised purely to be pure emotional and instinctual animals going, so kind of setting back our, our evolution, hundreds of thousands of years. They want you to be a consumer that makes money and spends money randomly and irregardless of your future, but they want you to also just be a zoo animal. Okay. And I've said this for many, many years. Like at first, I think the first thing I created the zoo animal stuff was the welfare system. But I guess the welfare system backfires when you don't give enough people entertainment, right? So now they're freely giving you entertainment to, it's probably a lot cheaper because you'll pay for this entertainment. Whereas like the welfare system actually costs taxpayers money, and people trying to launder money through the government cost them money as well, And now we don't need the welfare system. We just need social media and news outlets and whatever preposterous, headline of today is. How do I know that this is all fake? Well, go and just Google or DuckDuckGo or Brave Search or Jitter or what Ask Jeeves. I don't know if that's around anymore. Whatever your search engine of preference is. Go search for videos of like all the talking heads on TVs from all across the country saying exactly the same thing. And they synchronize everybody saying the same thing. It's all just this like hundreds. And what is that? What is that? It's a. Do you think that you can trust your local news? No, you can't trust your local news because they're just saying they're there to smile and to say, trust us, we're local. And they're just reading and doing what they're told, right? The only people you can trust, I think, on the newscast are your weather people. They're the only ones focused on what is in reality and dealing with hard facts and figures. Everybody else is their part of the play, right? And that's just the way it is nowadays. I need my son to think critically. I tell him to ask questions and even question me. So I'm still fallible. And don't wait to be given the authority to ask questions. And don't wait for somebody to give you authorize you to take initiative, right? Take initiative. Take the opportunity to say what's on your mind. I'm not saying be rude about it, and take the opportunity to also have debates on something because maybe you'll learn something. Maybe you are wrong, and that's okay. Being wrong is okay as long as you're willing to accept what is right. That's the biggest problem with people nowadays is they're as wrong as wrong can be, but boy, oh boy, you better not criticize them because then you're hurting their self-esteem. So anyways, we're kind of going off subject a little bit. This is for all of you that just if you ever feel yourself watching the news and you get kind of like feeling a rush, like you're watching somebody get punched, but this is just on the news and it's about somebody you've never met talking about things that you don't know anything about, and you just really want to get angry and be on a team, well, stop being on the team. Start being on your own team. And your own team is somebody that is on your own little island and you're looking out. I think I'm going to change the graphic for this video when I'm done. Because I put like a General Hospital something on there. But, I think in a lot of ways what I'm saying is be a dissenter, and there's got to be a graphic out there where there's one person actually looking up. It's there's that old cartoon that came out, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 years ago called Wall-E, where people lived in their wheelchairs on a space station and whatnot. And finally, one of them looked up and around and they're like, hey, when did we get a pool? Knowing that they've lived their entire lives sitting, getting fat, sucking down all this stuff, being just a part of the herd, just like they were told to, being swarmed by social medias and all this other stuff, and games and all this other stuff just to keep them occupied while they're getting humongous and fat, sitting in these wheelchairs. And then they didn't even realize, they didn't have no idea what the world's around them like. And I know exactly that people are like that. My ex's son had lived in my house for a couple of years, and he's like, "Oh wow, when did we get that?" And it was some artifact I had up on the fireplace mantle. I was like, "It's been up there for like 10 years," and he would do that pretty consistently. When did we get that? It's because he was one of the people glued to games and social media, and his mom thought that was okay because she raised him. She threw an Xbox at him when he was 8 years old, and that she was fucking hands off by then. And I should have realized that back then too. But there's a reason why she's a fucking ex. Many reasons. But many parents are like that. They just throw an Xbox or a cell phone at their kids, and they're like, I hope that technology raises you. And what you're doing is you're being raised by the ideas that keep you locked into this idea, right? You're addicted to something that you don't even realize you're addicted to, because this is the way you've been raised. You've had parents and teachers and everything on TV all pointing in the same direction to just make you into a little Duracell battery. And that's the true reason why the economy is collapsing. That's the true reason why. Because the people that are not the Duracell batteries, people are out there working hard and doing this stuff, the policymakers and the administrations and all that, they don't care if you survive. And they're throwing this in your face now. They're going to starve you to death. They're going to make sure you don't have gas. You don't have any way of paying your bills. You're going to, especially people in large cities, and they don't care. And chances are you should have been panicking a year and a half ago and preparing for this and getting ready. And a lot of people did. A lot of people are like, oh, they can see the writing on the wall, because it's not like this is complex. This is thrown in your face. Kamala Harris is a great example of that. She is the biggest idiot, and she's thrown in our face. And people are like, oh, I love her so much. She sucked 100 cocks to get where she's at. And I'm like, 100 is probably a fake number. It's pretty light as far as I'm concerned. But and Biden's senile. You can watch him go through sundowners. They have him eating ice cream and going through sundowners on TV. They're throwing it in your face. But they also know that they plan on you being ignorant and not asking questions because you're too scared to. Start asking questions now, because very soon you may not have the opportunity to. That's all I'm saying. And what do I mean by not having the opportunity to? It depends on where you're at. They're trying to make sure that you're not allowed to protect yourself. We can't protect yourself. And that's, maybe I'll make another video on that here real soon about Posse Comitatus. If you ever hear the Posse Comitatus Act is being turned off or whatnot, they're going to start using the military against us. But and that's what I fear. They're going to disarm us. They're going to turn the military against us, and they're going to enslave their own population. Here in the U.S., anyways. It's already happened in many other countries. Turn your heads on. Think. Don't be and don't be scared that you've never practiced this critical thinking stuff before. I guarantee there's 1,000 things in your life you haven't practiced that you're going to have to get good at in the next couple of years if you want to survive. And you got to start now. So, and one of the things you need to be able to do is pay attention and think critically and ask questions. All right, and get out of your head. Get off the video games. Get off the dating sites. Get off social media. Get off the porn. And stay off the TV. And if you're going to watch videos, watch it from like independent news sources where they're reporting, mostly unbiased. I mean, everybody's going to have a bias, but take your news like you take your diet, right? Or take your news like you wish your diet was, nice and clean, no GMOs, no this, no that, good, healthy meats and vegetables and fruits. Anyways, that's all I've got for today. Have a great day.